I've been a toll booth operator on Oakwood Bridge for 5 years, but it wasn't until the winter of 2018 that I started noticing the lanes would change. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, the result of too many late nights and early mornings spent staring out at the same stretch of asphalt. But as the weeks went by, I began to realize that the number of lanes on the bridge would actually increase after 3 a.m. It started with just one extra lane, a ghostly fifth lane that would materialize on the northbound side of the bridge. I'd watch in my rearview mirror as cars would suddenly shift into this new lane, their headlights flicking on like fireflies as they hurtled into the darkness. The first few times it happened, I was too startled to react, but eventually I started to get curious. I'd try to take pictures or videos, but they'd always come out blurry or distorted, as if my phone was malfunctioning. Then, one night, I decided to investigate further. I waited until 3 a.m., and when the extra lane appeared, I got out of my booth and started walking towards it. The air was cold and damp, the only sound the hum of the bridge's suspension cables and the distant rumble of traffic. As I approached the new lane, I noticed something strange. The lane markings were different. They were the same color and shape as the regular lanes, but they seemed off. The lines were slightly wavy, like they'd been painted by hand, and the reflectors embedded in the asphalt seemed to be staring back at me like tiny eyes. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized that this lane wasn't just a simple addition. It was something separate, something that didn't belong. Over the next few weeks, the number of extra lanes continued to grow. There would be 2, then 3, then 4, each one materializing like a specter in the dead of night. I'd watch as cars would move into these new lanes, their drivers seemingly oblivious to the fact that they were driving on roads that didn't exist. It was as if they were being drawn into some kind of parallel dimension, one that existed alongside our own but was invisible to the naked eye. And then one night, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A car pulled into one of the extra lanes, and as it drove away, I saw the driver's face. It was my own face, staring back at me with a look of pure terror. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, as I realized that I was not just observing these phantom lanes. I was a part of them. The lanes were shifting, changing, and I was being pulled into their vortex. I tried to tell myself it was just a hallucination, but deep down, I knew the truth. The lanes were real and they were changing me. As the nights wore on, I found myself becoming more and more detached from reality. I'd see things out of the corner of my eye, as shadowy figures lurking just beyond the edge of the bridge, their eyes glowing like embers in the dark. I'd hear whispers on the wind, a soft susurrus that seemed to be calling my name. And then, one morning, I woke up to find that the lanes had changed again. This time, they'd shifted in a way that seemed almost deliberate. The extra lanes had formed a pattern, a series of interlocking loops and curves that seemed to be drawing me deeper into the heart of the bridge. I knew then that I had to get out, to escape the vortex of the shifting lanes before it was too late. But as I turned to leave, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A sign, posted on the side of the bridge, its letters glowing with an otherworldly light. "Lane shift in progress," it read. "Please follow the lanes to your destination." And as I stared at the sign, I realized that I was not the toll booth operator. I was the toll. I was the one being collected, being pulled into the abyss of the shifting lanes. And as the darkness closed in around me, I knew that I would never be seen again. The lanes had me and they would never let me go. But the question remains, what lies at the end of the shifting lanes, and what will happen to those who follow them?